So in this video I'm going to be talking about the short film Brady, which is a drama about a son's mother falling in love with the swimming instructor. So from this opening shot we can tell that the mother's dressing the child. This tells us obviously that he's disabled, as we see the wheelchair in the background there, and also the fact that she's about to lift him onto the bed also tells us that fact. So obviously it's quite a heartwarming scene that the mother's obviously caring for the little boy who's disabled, and the fact that we are obviously going to feel sympathy towards the little boy, because it should, it's a horrible thing to happen to anyone. From this shot now, which will be in just a second, we know the mother is struggling. She's marking papers late into the night, and she's also drinking red wine alone. So this sort of tells us that she's obviously having trouble coping, and she's struggling with what balancing work with her son's care and things like that. We can tell that she's struggling from this. Also like how they mix the shots in the background there. You can see it turns blue to match this shot now of the man entering the pool. So we know obviously that she feels, some sort of not sympathy, some sort of affection towards the man, and then we later find out obviously it's the man that is the swimming instructor. So this is now going to be a compression of time in just a short few minutes, where we go from night to in the car, and then later on to the entrance of the pool. Obviously this is a convention of a short film that time has to be compressed because they have to tell a larger story in a shorter space of time.
Miss Miller! Hey, how's it going? Hey, Brady! Look what I got you, buddy. How's my little bunny been?
Oh, he's good.
Yeah?
I'm sure he's better now that he's here with you.
How's he been doing? How's his strength?
Oh, you know what? I'm kind of concerned though. His arms have been really stiff, and I was wondering if maybe you could do a little extra work on them.
Well, yeah, you should definitely mention it to Dr. Rochelle, but I mean, I'm sure we can work on his little guns.
She'll see now the lingering touch of hands suggests that there's romance between the two.
How was your
This obviously is adding emotion to the whole adding the emotion of romance to the whole short film, and it's done with the close-up there, so we can see that in detail, because obviously if they stayed on that long shot there you wouldn't be able to see that, so the close-up there is used effectively to show that romance. I have to say though, the music in this film is so good, and it adds to the emotion of the subject. The fact that he's a little boy, obviously the struggling because he's disabled and he's having to do all this water therapy and things, it actually really adds to the emotion of it, and I was really surprised. As we can tell by this cross cut that's used now, we can tell that she's distracted by the man in the swimming pool, who obviously she has this sort of romance for. We can tell because of this cross cut, it goes back and forth between the woman and him. They also zoom in on the woman's face as well in a bit, which also tells us that shows the emotion on her face and the romance blossoming in between the two. Yes, that's the zoom there that tells us more of the emotion on her face, and that's combined with the cross cut now, so that was what I was talking about just a second ago. So now I found this shot specifically interesting as it's used a long shot here where we can barely hear the dialogue, so a lot of the narrative technique relies on the acting here between the two of them so that we know what's going on. So obviously she hands over a note to him, and we have to sort of we have to see his reaction to see what it is and what it's about, because we can barely hear the dialogue at this point. The thing is though, the ambient sounds of him like walking away later on, you'll hear in a minute, are a lot louder. So I don't know if that was done intentionally so that the viewers would find out from the acting more over the instead of the dialogue, or if this was just an issue with recording the sound, because the footsteps are significantly louder. What I'd lean towards is the first one, where they've made sure that the dialogue is quiet so we can't tell. She'll hear now. So as you just heard there, the footsteps are a lot louder, so that's why I was contemplating whether that's a mistake or that's done intentionally so that we don't know the specifics of what she said and what he's saying, because the dialogue has, you know, been made quieter. So now the mum starts to break down, obviously, in the car, which adds even more emotion to this drama. We can tell that she's lonely, and she clearly loved the man, and she feels that she's also, like, she's messed this up, not just for herself, but for the kid, obviously, because he's now gonna, the man in the swimming pool is now gonna have to deal with the fact that it's her kid that he's, you know, dealing with, and she obviously loved him, and he turned her down. So that sort of makes things a bit awkward for what she would do in the future. Brady's attempts to comfort the mum just completely emotion driven, and it was something that I found really sweet, that he would obviously care that much for his mother, who cares so much for him as well, and that comes across really well with the close-up reverse shot that they use. The close-up shot reverse shot just shows the love and affection between the two, and it sort of makes her feel better knowing that she's obviously got an amazing son like Brady, who will care for her and always look out for her. And obviously now this is a shot that I really like, where obviously you have the glare of the sun, and this is used often in a lot of different short films just because of how impressive they can make the shot. You can see the reflection of everything on the windscreen there. It's just the whole sun glare is just an often used shot in short films just because of how impressive it can look. So yeah, that's everything I got for the short film drama called Brady. Conventions would be the romance in this, portrayed with like close-ups mostly. So yeah, thank you for watching.